What's going on, beautiful people? We are back again with another Mental Max Out podcast. I'm your host, Akeem Robinson. And for those of you joining us for the first time, thanks for checking it out. Mental Max Out is all about helping people change their perspectives, think differently, and get out of the hole. If you're back again, I celebrate your willingness to continue growing and challenging your mind. Remember, if you like what you hear today, make sure you hit that subscribe button or whatever platform you're listening from. Share it with a friend and follow us on social media at Mental Max Out Podcast.
So what's going on again, beautiful people? We are so excited to be back again with you. And I'm excited because we're one more movie off my little checklist.
Oh my goodness.
Of movies that she has not seen and that I can quote and not feel crazy about, or we can listen to a song and she not be like,
gosh,
they played that at my high school graduation.
You're not even giving the people any backstory. Like you're just making it seem like I don't watch movies.
You don't. You watch three.
No. I watch movies.
3 movies. Legally Blonde, Princess Diaries, and then I don't even know what the third one was.
Okay, first of all, Legally Blonde is not the staple that you think it is. I really don't. That's not really my go-to. Princess Diaries, yes. And they're making a third one. So I'm like very excited about that.
So 1 and 2 is also 1 and 2 of your movies, and Princess Diaries are 3.
No, I really don't love Legally Blonde. Like you think that I love Legally Blonde, but that's fair.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I am just not a big movie watcher. I'll rewatch the same shows over and over and over again before I just rewatch movies. Now, every once in a while when I'm somewhere where there's cable TV, like I'm at a hotel or my parents' house or something, and I'm scrolling through channels and I'm like, oh, look, Bridesmaids. That happened to us recently on our California trip. I was like, oh, look, Bridesmaids. And we turned on Bridesmaids briefly.
Yeah. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of backstory. So we were working out in the garage. The song came on, Shake Your Tail Feather, and it was like, dun, dun, and it was like the intro. And she was like, oh, yeah, this song, they played it at my high school graduation. And I was like, okay, feel a little old. But I was like, yeah, that's from Bad Boys. And she was like, what's that? And I was like, huh? And I was like, well, the song is from the soundtrack of Bad Boys. And she's like, well, all I remember is they played it at my high school graduation. And I was like, okay, so we're going to watch Bad Boys. And she didn't even watch the first one. And the first one was in 95. So we had to watch that. But what I noticed after we watched that was every year I check one movie off the list because the year before that was Avatar.
Oh my gosh. And I love Avatar. Like, I am so excited for the next one. But the thing is these are not, I don't know, like action movies just really don't interest me. But I thought Avatar was really good. And then I liked Bad Boys. I was verbally laughing out loud watching Bad Boys.
You were.
So it's not that like I don't like watching movies. I think I just need to like, my interest needs to be piqued. Like for example, I did not eat guacamole until I was 22 years old because it just didn't appeal to me. I would see people get guacamole and I'll be like, oh, okay, you know, like that's cool. But I never tried it. Not because of any reason other than it really just didn't interest me. Movies are the same thing. If it really doesn't interest me, I'm not going to just go out of my way to try something new. But maybe I'm just a creature of habit.
I think you're more of a creature of habit because I think you probably looked at it too like this is just a stereotypical guy movie and not knowing much about the guy movie. Because remember the first time we saw a movie, you were like, hold on, there's a story behind this? I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you think? Is there stuff blowing up all the time? And you were
kind of.
No, there's storylines and love interest and people love each other and they get heartbroken and it's in the movie.
Yeah. But I also feel like don't get me wrong, I thought Bad Boys was really funny and I've been telling people about it like today at work and they were like, yeah, Allison, yeah. But I also like the joy that it brings you when I watch a movie that you're like, I think she'll like this or I think she'll find this entertaining or funny, and then I'm actually enjoying the movie. I can see the joy on your face because part of you is probably like, I was right. And the other part of you is like, this is cool. We're spending time together.
Well, yeah, because that's my version of quality time. Like I think your version of quality time is let's sit here and watch Olivia Pope. And don't get me wrong, Olivia Pope is like a superhero of scandal and
Or puzzling.
or puzzling. Or your other favorite is like let's watch this trashy romance of like Love Is Blind.
Oh yeah.
Or something on Netflix, Too Hot to Handle or something like that, which I don't mind. But to me, it's like, that's my quality time in your regards. But for me, I look at the quality time of saying, she's watching the movie I would like to watch, or she's doing the thing I would like to do.
So I was talking to a friend this week about the concept of love languages, right? And how people really struggle with love languages because they always, you know what your love language is. And so you show love in the way that you receive love. And that doesn't always work because your partner may have a different love language. For example, my love language is quality time and Akeem's love language is acts of service. I am constantly wanting to spend time with him. When we spend all this time together, I'm like, isn't this great? Aren't I filling your cup? And he's like, no, please help with these dishes. Please bring home some ice cream from the grocery store. Because his love language is acts of service. So when he gets in from mowing the lawn on a Saturday morning and I may have one load of laundry folded already, it doesn't happen often, but when it does, he's like, that's how I receive love. And I think it's so important to understand that because like what you just said of, you think we're spending quality time together when we're watching a movie or doing something that you enjoy, but I think we're spending quality time when we're doing something I enjoy. Mm-hmm. And so you can see where like in a relationship, we would be like, we're not spending time together because we have different viewpoints.
And you said it too. It's how do you receive love? And I think we kind of fall into that because you have that blueprint because of either what you saw from your family growing up, your upbringing, what you've experienced from your success and failures of past relationships. So you create that to be your own foundation. And then in that being your foundation, you say, well, I'm good at that, so that's what I'm going to now give to other people instead of figuring out what they need or what they prefer. It can lead to some kind of like rub, if you will, some kind of like, that's not what I need, or that's not helping me in this situation, or I prefer you do this instead of what you're continuing to do.
And I think that's just a default. Like it's a default setting that we're hardwired to do because, and you've said this before, people are innately selfish. That extends to how we show love too. If you think about it, if you're constantly trying to show love in your love language, that's a selfish way to think about it. That's a selfish way to show love. Then you're constantly like, why aren't they feeling this? Why aren't they feeling that? Well, you're not meeting them where they're at. Mm-hmm. You're meeting them where you want to be at and where you are.
Well, because it's easy, right? And I know that blueprint, but it takes me more time, more effort to get to know what your blueprint is and then meet you where you are. And then what if I don't like to do that? Or what if I don't want to do that? That's the other thing. We went to a drive-through food truck. And I was like, huh? Like we pulled up to the food truck and he's like, drive around. And I'm like, but you're a food truck. But whatever. So we get this food and you're like, oh my God, babe, I've been thinking about this food all the time. And you took one bite and I was like, you were like almost in food critic heaven. You were like, this is so, and I'm just looking at you like, it's all right. But to me, I felt like even though I could have eaten 100 of other things, it was still a best way for me in that situation to be like, nah, I support her in this. I don't mind what I eat. I'm not in love with it as much as she is, but I still support that we're going to do that. And I think that's one of the ways you kind of have to like get to know the other person to know that might not be something you do, but it's something you're willing to do to meet them where they're at, you know? And y'all both know that.
Akeem and I, very early on in our relationship, and we talked about this on our walk today, and very early on in our relationship, he told me, I'm not going to show excitement the way that you are expecting me to. So for example, I could be like, babe, well, like I did yesterday, isn't this food awesome? And I'm so excited. And he's not going to give me back, yeah, babe, it's so good, right? But I used to, early on in our relationship, get really frustrated because I'm like, do you not care about anything? Like that, I was like, are you kidding? Like we have nothing in common. You don't love what I love. You have no inflection in your voice. Like what the heck? And he had to very early on say, Allison, I'm not going to show excitement the way that you show excitement. I'm not going to be bouncing off the walls like you are. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy it or I'm not excited. And so ever since then, I've really had to take his, I come home with something and I'm really excited about it. And he's like, oh man, this is awesome. Like, that's how he is. He's probably jumping for joy on the inside, but that's just how he operates. And so not taking that as any knock against me or what's going on or what we're doing, but I have to learn that that's who he is. And I think that's something that we forget when we marry somebody, when we pick a partner in friendships, relationships, whatever it is like you have to learn about that person all the time.
And it's constantly changing too, right? Because the person you met is different a year later. The person you met is going through different challenges, victories, and all those things, and they're adjusting and evolving in how they are receiving things. Because I remember I used to have friends where we used to do certain things on the weekend all the time, and now the conversation is not like that because they're different. They're in different stages of their lives. We're talking about our kids now. You just have to adjust with it, but you have to be willing to learn what they're now enjoying, where are they now gravitating towards, because if you don't, you're going to be feeling like you're left behind. You're going to be feeling, is this person even the same? And the answer to that is no. And you have to be willing to know what is different. And sometimes asking questions helps that too. Just like, hey, what are you doing new? Or what's new at work? Or what do you like watching now? Because sometimes you're not around each other 24/7.
Well, I think being willing to have the perspective for yourself to be okay with your partner asking those questions, right? Because I think we talk to a lot of people and they're like, man, how do you guys do it? How do you guys do this so smoothly? And it's like, well, we talk about it, but at the same time, we know we don't talk as much as we think that we talk, And so being willing to say, we're not talking about this. We need to do a better job of it. Akeem would tell me, hey, you're not talking to me. And I would say, what are you talking about? I talk to you every day. I talk to you all the time. But what would happen is I'd get in the car on my way home from work. I would call my mom or I would call a friend and I would rehash my day. So by the time that I got home to Akeem, I had already told somebody about my day or already told somebody about the frustrations. And so I wasn't not telling him intentionally, but in my mind, I had already handled that situation.
Yeah.
And so then 6 weeks later, I would bring something up in passing and he'll be like, wait, when did that happen? You didn't tell me that.
Yep.
It helped me realize, I'm really not talking to him because I'm just disregarding based off other conversations or things like that. And so it was really healthy, but I had to be able to have the perspective to say, let me look inward. Let me figure out and reflect where this might be coming from in my actions because it's affecting my partner and what can I do? Because I think a lot of times it's easy to say, they don't talk to me. Well, okay, what are you doing that is causing that? Or what are some areas that you can reflect on that are maybe the culprit of why your significant other or partner or friend or whoever is not talking to you?
Yeah, and I think once you do that, you have to always understand no matter what you do, there's going to be a relationship. Or there's going to be a connection, or you have to going to talk to someone. And with that, you're going to have to know about someone else. Like you can look inward in yourself, but you always have to work with someone, whether that be a relationship, a friendship, a partnership,
a coworker.
You're always going to have to work with someone. It takes a willingness to step outside of yourself and ask this person a question, find out more about this person, because that will make your life a lot simpler the more you know.
Okay, I have a question.
Ooh.
Why do you think in a relationship it's harder for a partner to reflect on something that their partner has pointed out to them? A few years ago, you and I were having a conversation. You were like, you're prideful. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, I'm not. And you were like, no, that's something that you really struggle with. And I was like, what are you talking about? I had to reflect, and years later, here we are, we're good, but we're not good, but we're working on it. But you brought that to my attention and I was automatically defensive. And whether I knew in my core you were right or wrong, it was hard. Why is that? Why when somebody else tells us something, maybe we hear it better than when our partner tells us?
Two reasons, I think. One is because someone else is holding up a reflection to you and you don't like what you see. You do that for me, because that's what makes you an amazing wife too, and an amazing partner for me is you hold up a reflection and I'm like, I don't like that.
Thank you.
And Well, yeah, like in the moment, it feels like I'm being like getting my butt handed to me. But no, it's a reflection of something you don't like to see. And then I think the other part of it is society's made you feel like you should have all the answers. It truly makes you think like because you're a man, you should be a protector, you should be a provider, you should be making the money, and you just get this laundry list of things you should be doing. If it's not 100%, are you even a man? And then I can only imagine for a woman, you should be doing 100 of these things perfectly all the time. And if you're not good enough. And so now take that into the fact that you really are trying to learn about yourself in real time with someone. They know more about you than your friends, or they know more about you than you do, and they're willing to hold up a reflection of something you don't like. Feelings get hurt.
I think it's shame. I want so bad to be this like awesome partner for you. I want to be a trophy wife in every definition. I want to be a hot mom, hot wife, but I also want to be like that partner that people are like, wow, your wife is so supportive. Wow, your wife is so awesome. Wow, Akeem, like your wife, I want to be the like ultimate trophy wife. And so because of that, when I feel like I fall short, or when you're like, hey, you're awesome, however, in this one area, you could use some work, then I'm automatically like, my trophy is silver. It is not gold. And I don't get the name plaque. It's just a generic one. It doesn't have my name on it. Yeah. Like, it's the participation trophy. You're just getting a participation trophy in marriage. Can you imagine that? Could you imagine if there was a trophy for, like, gold star, top of the line marriage? We're just out here getting participation trophies because everybody's just doing the best that they can. And if you're participating in your marriage, man, that's great.
Look, I'll be just trying to finish. I just be trying to get across the finish line sometimes. I don't even know if I'm first, dead last. I don't know how many people.
Well, and you said this last night, like, you know, we try so hard to bat 100% in our marriage, and it's not possible.
Ain't happening.
It's not possible. We have to be okay knowing that as long as we're participating in the growth process, in the relationship process, like, we're doing okay.
Yeah, and you're hitting every like chord here because relationships are hard. And I'm gonna generalize it just like that. Relationships are hard.
Because other people are hard.
Yeah, it's someone else you're dealing with. And so you would love to just wake up every day and they meet you where you are. But that ain't the case. Like, you would love for every day they automatically know you pissed off. They automatically know, give me 10 minutes and I'm going to be good. They automatically know what you need and are willing to do that every time. But that's not the case. And go ahead. When you got something on the tip of your tongue.
I was going to say, like, we're only 5 years in the game, but, like, there are some days where we wake up and you're like, oh, she pissed.
That's true.
Maybe that's just, we don't have the years that some of the people listening got. That I think maybe that is, like, that does happen.
That does happen, but still, I still be failing. Like, I can feel the piss and I can feel the tension, and I'm like, oh, Lord, I don't know if it's me. I don't know what I did. Hold on, let me go through my checklist. But that's another story. But in any case.
Babe, you just said I could feel the piss.
Sometimes I just wake up in the morning and piss excellence. I don't know.
All
like
right.
Ricky Bobby's. That's another movie she ain't seen, so she don't even know what I'm talking about.
I've seen Talladega Nights.
Oh, you've seen it? Okay, cool.
See, he just wants to discredit my movie repertoire.
When I be making references, sometimes you don't even acknowledge the reference, or just play on to the movie.
I don't read the screenplay. Like, I don't know everybody's lines like you do. You like have the screenplay printed out and you're following it along. Like, follow along as we read this aloud.
Yeah, popcorn reading. You need to just participate. But in any case, yeah, I think you have to understand this person. And that is so difficult because you never know what you're going to get. You never know where they're going to be on this spectrum. But you like them or you love them and you want to stay married to them, or you want to like just have something, or you want to continue
like a healthy relationship.
Something. You want to have a healthy relationship. And sometimes you have to dig a little deeper and figure out where they are. It's difficult. It truly is a difficult thing because for us, it's, hey, have you seen this movie? No, I haven't seen this movie. And then that's one thing. But for other people, it can be, I don't go here because this happened 10 years ago. And you're like, oh, that's a whole nother conversation. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you never know what starts that trigger effect. People are trying to figure that out all the time while figuring themselves out. You know what I mean? And I think that's the difficult thing, because you're going to hear it from me, because nobody ain't going to tell you this. But you ain't never going to have it all figured out for yourself. You are never going to have it all figured out. And for us, we got through the realization yesterday, you ain't never going to be enough for yourself or for that other person. But you're just trying to learn about yourself. You're trying to make it to the next minute, the next hour, or the next day, just to keep going. And that's okay. And I think that's where some people get nervous, because they say, I don't want to join this, or I'm not ready for this commitment, or I'm not ready for this job until you reach 100%. And you won't. You're never going to be. You're never going to be 100%. You are never going to make it 100%. And that's the thing that keeps a lot of people, because you think it's going to finally, when it hits this, then I'm going to be ready. You won't, because it's not going to hit that. It's never going to make it there.
I think it's important to learn about yourself. Like, you have to constantly learn about yourself in order to be able to engage in healthy relationships. Like, if you're not willing to learn about yourself, you are not ready to learn about somebody else. And that goes for your friendships, your relationships, your work friendships, whatever it might be. Because I have a coworker and she's awesome. I always know that I can count on her when I call her and I tell her about, stuff going on. And I'm always like, okay, am I seeing this wrong? Am I doing this? And she's able to be like, hey, this is how you are. And this is how that person is. And so this is what it is. But if I do something and she has been in the game longer than I am, she's willing to be like, hey, don't do that. And if I'm not willing to learn about myself, then I would be like, oh, don't tell me that. Or like, oh, okay, whatever. She don't know what she's talking about. So for example, I was telling somebody a story in the office the other day, and I said something about Akeem, and I was like, well, my husband, da-da-da-da-da-da, and I kept talking. It was all fine or whatever, and the conversation ended. The people left our office, whatever. My coworker said, hey, professionally, just say you got a connection. Just say my colleague. Like, when you refer to, because Akeem and I are in such similar professions that if it's work related, refer to Akeem as your colleague, not your husband. If it's personal, refer to Akeem as your husband. And I'd never thought about that. Like, I thought that was such good advice. Because if I'm bringing Akeem into the conversation because we're in similar professions and it's work related, refer to him as my colleague. And I was like, that is so profound. But if I was like, oh, like, it's fine, it's whatever, like, I would have missed out on that learning opportunity. That now I have the opportunity, now that I have a staff, I can pass that on to other people, right? And it was just such a great learning opportunity. But I had to be willing to learn about myself to be able to take my coworker's advice, who is a friend of mine, and be willing to say, she's right. And she has an experience and a perspective that I don't. I need to have an open mind. And I think we really struggled to have an open mind because, like you said, we think we all got it figured out. Like, so it's so hard to have an open mind when we think that, oh, I've done the work. Oh, I have the experience. Oh, my perspective. Oh, this, that, and the other thing. Like, no. You should always be learning.
Yeah, and not only should you always be learning, you should always be trying to step out of your comfort zone. Number one, step out of your comfort zone. And that's in as many areas as possible. So if you like only action movies, try a different genre.
Like romantic comedy.
Yeah, try a completely different genre.
Like Legally Blonde.
I have watched it.
Okay.
I wasn't jumping up and down about it.
I'm just verifying.
But
Princess Diaries 3 will be there in theaters.
Yeah.
Somebody come watch Serena. Open call.
Open call.
Open call for babysitter.
And so you have to constantly step out of your comfort zones of the foods you like, the things you like, the places you like to go, because there is a lesson from it. That's the first thing. And I'm telling you, I learned that because we've done so many amazing things because you've pulled me out of my comfort zone. Hey, babe, let's go here. Hey, babe, we're going to go on this road trip. I'm like, huh? What? Because in the beginning, I was like, no road trips. I don't want to go there.
Akeem will stay in the house.
Give it to me.
In the same shorts for 72 hours.
Come on now.
Only to leave to get a Subway tuna sandwich.
And next thing I know, now I'm in St. Lucia getting volcanic mud bath ash
and drinking mango lattes.
Yeah, you got to be open to these different things. And then the other thing I would probably say is the willingness to know that you're a student and you need a mentor. You've said this to me, and I think, when I say mentor, people automatically go, they got to be older than me. No, they just have to bring a different experience to your life, because that you need to be able to be taught. And sometimes you mentor me. You know what I'm saying? Of like, Hey, I wouldn't do it like this. Hey, I would not be writing in this direction. Like, you've helped me get through my dissertation because you were mentoring me.
And we've said that on previous episodes. Like, the definition of a mentor is just somebody who's willing to give advice.
Yeah, and so like if you need both of those things, and that will help transform you into taking a deeper look into yourself. Stepping out of your comfort zones and just doing something different. And that could be music, that can be things you eat, that can be how you make certain foods that you know like the back of your hand. Somebody else might know how to make it a little differently. And I'm just telling you, that helps. And then knowing that you can still be a student and you just need a mentor. Hey, I'm struggling with this. I need somebody's advice. And if you know somebody's good in that area, allow them to be your mentor and speak into your life. You don't have to do what they're telling you to do, but they're just giving you a different perspective. And I think once you're able to do those two things, now you're actually growing at a rate where you're like, oh, wow, I now hear it differently. Oh my goodness, I'm now seeing this situation unfold and I know how to respond more professionally because you now have more resources equipped to help you for that next situation.
I think that the mantra for the week is one that I am really excited about. It was in our wedding vows. It's what we build the foundation of our relationship on. But I think it's applicable in any scenario because what we just talked about in terms of you have to be willing to grow yourself. And in order to have effective, healthy relationships, you have to be willing to look inward at yourself and understand where you sit at the table. And so our mantra for the week is learning to love. Learning to love yourself, learning to love your partner, learning to love the situation that you're in. Because at the end of the day, if you're not willing to learn and you're not willing to take the perspective of joy, satisfaction, love, you're already behind the 8 ball. Yep. And I think that if you're willing to say, I'm going to learn to love the life that I've created, the situation that I'm in, good, bad, ugly, whatever, if you can find a window of opportunity to learn to love yourself, the people you work with, the situation, your, whatever, then I think that it will help you change your perspective.
No question. I love our mantra too because it says learn to love. That means
you may not love it.
You may not love it. But you have to learn. So you have to be willing to humble yourself. You have to be willing to be a student. You have to be willing to be taught, educated. That word learn has such a profound way of impacting your life if you allow it to fit in the space it needs to where you're at in that present moment. So if that's, you have the pride and you're like, I don't need to learn from anyone, you might need to be humbled. If that's, you have so much experience in something, now you need to learn to take another piece of advice. So when we say that, learn to, take it for what it is. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Talk to you next week.
Thank you for joining us on this exciting episode of Mental Max Out. We hope today's discussion has empowered you with the insights and tools to overcome the challenges of depression, fear, and doubt. Always remember that you have a support system on this journey, and every step you take is a step forward towards victory. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. We greatly appreciate your feedback as it allows us to continually provide you with the content that is most valuable to you. Stay connected with us on Instagram at Mental Max Out Podcast for a constant source of motivation, helpful advice, and a supportive community. Until the next time, keep pushing forward, and remember, you have the strength within you to max out your potential. Take care and stay strong.